Hi, Jen. How are ya? All right. Today we're here to talk with Jen about her blog post called Happiness is Not the Goal. Jen, why don't you give us a little bit of a synopsis for how you got to that?
Yeah, well, I think I've shared the story before of how in the past I was following the path that's laid out for us, you know, and thinking that following that path I was going to be happy all the time. Life was going to be good. That didn't always work, and that's fine. So I've been doing a lot of work on that the last couple of years about how I really want to be in the world and live in the world and experience the world. And it was interesting. I was reading a book, and there was the account of a graduate student who was a psychology graduate student in Harvard back in the 70s, and he went through this meditation retreat. And one of the intuitional insights, whatever, he got from the meditation retreat was that happiness is a skill that could be trained. And that made me take pause for a minute. Excuse me. It just made me say, happiness is a skill. It just didn't really resonate with me. So I started thinking on that a little bit, thinking on why it kind of rubbed me the wrong way, thinking of what it was for me. And I started thinking about all of the instructions out there for us on how to find happiness and how happiness is like the end all be all goal. You hear it in every fairy tale, right? And they lived happily ever after. So while there are a lot of ideas out there floating about happiness, what it should be, what it is for people, how you can go about finding it, how maybe you shouldn't go about finding it and then it'll just happen. There's a lot of mixed information out there. So what I love is being able to go back to the tools that Thrive teaches, which really focus around awareness and discernment to figure out what anything is for you. And so that's where that quote of happiness is a skill that can be trained took me. It took me back to myself.
What I loved about your article is that it almost felt like a real-time discernment. Like we got to experience your discernment in real time with you. So, you kind of went on your exploration and like, well, there's this definition of happiness and there's this other definition of happiness. And what does happiness mean to me? Ultimately, you decide, happiness isn't my goal. Wholeness is. And, and that can change. What I loved is it was a very exploratory, real-time peek into your discernment process, which I think is like ultimately the point you make. Don't take things at face value. Are the goals that you have or are the things you're striving for, what's really behind them? We have these quick buzz catchphrases out in the world, and let's unpack it a little bit more. Like, let's push the pause button and see what's really going on for each individual versus just accepting these sweeping blanket statements that exist in the world.
Yeah. That's what I did actually. Not so much writing the article, but I went back to those moments when I was discerning for myself what it meant for me, and the different quotes that I read here and there that maybe added up to get me to where I felt right, where I felt like I was living within myself and in alignment with myself. And that is exactly, what I did. And what I love about, and again, I'm talking about the Thrive concepts and tools, because that's what helps me discern myself, was I could look at happiness. I could look at happiness through the filter of HIOS and what happiness is as a thought, what happiness is as a feeling. Is it a belief I have? What do certain behaviors lead me to have some happiness? But what it brings me to ultimately is that feeling of wanting to live wholly and experience happiness when that is in my experience, and experience sadness when that's in my experience. So fully experience wherever you are and live that mindful life. And to me, that is the easiest way to find happiness.
I love the invitation of, is happiness a thought? Is happiness an emotion? Is happiness a belief that I carry? Is it a behavior? Is it underneath or after some behaviors or intertwined in behaviors? And I was thinking about the question for myself, what is happiness for me? And I really didn't have an answer. I definitely think I have historically been more comfortable with like the heavier emotional states and chaos. And I think that's just from some of the things I experienced as a child, some traumas, and that is a safe space for me. And so when I think of happiness, I'm kind of like, I don't know, like it actually gives me a trigger, the word, and with the invitation of being able to chunk it down a little bit. I know you hate that phrase, but to chunk it down a little bit, amongst each of my components, I think it's a really beautiful invitation to see how it becomes a little bit more dynamic and personalized when I can look at it through the lens of each of those components. I don't think I have an answer now today. I think it's more of a happiness is an ongoing exploration, and I'm excited to go a little bit deeper with it now that I've gotten the invitation.
Very cool. I'm glad that it's put you in that space of wanting some discernment time.
Yeah, it's really cool. Do you have any other last minute thoughts or additional things you really wanted to get across?
No, not really. I mean, you have accepted the invitation, and I appreciate that, and hope that anyone watching will take some time. And it doesn't have to be an exploration of happiness. It could be an exploration of heavier emotions if you're really comfortable with happiness and where you're at. I guess the one thing I would say is, as you're exploring, be gentle with yourself and know that your exploration can change and your insights can change, and to remind yourself that you are not the emotional state that you're experiencing. So maybe instead of saying, I am happy or I am sad, you can say, I feel happy right now, or I feel sad right now, because what words can define. So why not let ourselves not be defined by our words, but what we're exploring and what we decide for ourselves.
Yeah, even that small shift of feeling your feelings, thinking your thoughts, believing your beliefs, that separation is a really cool thing that I think we quickly, words can become jumbled and connected way quicker than we even realize. And even just that awareness of I am saying I am, and this is actually, I'm saying I am on something that's fleeting. And what does that do to my experience? It's really cool. Well, thank you, Jen. That was awesome. Yeah, if anyone wants to continue having this conversation or others with Jen, she is an incredible coach. So go to thrivehdc.com. I always get it wrong. thrivehdc.com, and check out her coaches page, and you can have an explore more and continue the conversation with her. Or if you're interested in just digging into more of these tools around your HIOS and some of those components, we have a human progress training, HPT, scheduled for the fall. It starts in September. And again, you can just go to thrivehdc.com and check that out and register. So thank you so much, Jen. That was amazing.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah. Have a good day. Bye.